What I heard is people are very curious, and I'm sure we'll get that, about this secret, and also about some sort of ways how to do what he's telling us about. And I'm sure that most of us have already heard a lot of things, but maybe unaware that they heard it. So I'm, with you, I'm hoping we all get it today. How to, yeah, we all get it today. How to work with what Frank tells us. So I'm not allowed to have any more words. I asked for 3 words, so I quit now. Have a good day.
Good. I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, never mind.
If it's a secret, then you don't talk about it, right? Now, in case there's any confusion about the secret, what the secret is when you've gone through major traumatic events in your life, it changes how you understand life. It changes how you understand value, importance, and so forth and so on. So you lose your humanness in the sense that human beings believe in that certain things are given, certain values are given, destiny, God, a lot of stuff, right, wrong, and that those are just values that exist, and we all learn to live by them or to believe in them. Right? Well, if you've gone through major traumatic events, what happens for most people who go through those events is that your understanding about those given principles is destroyed. So you end up with no base, no foundation in order to live your life. You don't fit anymore because you don't. Human beings demonstrate their beliefs all day long, every day, by how they talk, how they walk, how they look, and everything else. And you look at that and you go, whoa, that there's no truth to that. There's no value to that. That's a lie. And so in a sense, the first part of the secret is the profound knowledge that soldiers have for sure that all of the things that we normally accept as simple truths are all bullshit. They're all a lie. Okay? So the simple truth is everything that you believe is a lie. Okay? Now, that's the first step. For a lot of soldiers, that's the final step, because now I don't fit. Now I don't believe anything. Now I have no value in my life. Now I have no reason of living, and so I simply sleep under the bridges, don't take support from the government because I'm not a beggar, I'm a soldier, and I don't take help from people because they're all stupid, because they don't understand that there is no reason for anything. There's no reason to believe, there's no reason to trust, there's no reason to love, because life is basically a waste of time. There's nothing under it. There's no real. Okay, so that's a terrible secret. Okay, unless you have a shaman or somebody with a brain or two who understands. See, shaman psychologists are supposed to come to that same conclusion through education. Okay, through knowledge, through philosophy, logic, through understanding the values in human nature, and so forth and so on. So the doctors, so the psychologists are supposed to come to that same knowledge through a different path. Okay? Now, with that knowledge, they then become the people who are called the keepers of that secret. Okay? Which means that I know it's not real, but I know it's a necessary secret. It's a good secret. It's good to have those beliefs and values. Humans need beliefs and values in order to be civilized, in order to live successfully, in order to have civilization. Civilization, civil, means that I am believing a whole bunch of stuff that is the driving force in my life. And that if I've got a lot of other people around me who believe the same things, then we fit. We understand what life is and how to live it and how to value it and so forth. But what happens to a person who goes through life experiences where that's gone? Well, you're lost. Totally and completely lost. Because there now is no value in what you see. There is no value. There's nothing for you to take, to grab onto, to believe in. And when you see people who believe in those things, you consider them fools. Or you know, like idiots. Because, you know, you're walking around like this stuff is real. What the hell does it matter with you? Okay? So there's no draw for me to like what you do. Why? Because you're all full of shit. You're all stupid. Okay? Now, that's the negative side of the secret. When you know that as a soldier, and you're lucky enough to come into a soldier shaman, the shaman's job is to help you understand the power and the positiveness of the secret. Okay? Because it's a good secret. Okay? Now, when you are transformed, you take that secret and you then pretend to believe in all those things because you are now the creator of those things. Because the people who think they're real don't work to keep them, to create them. And if you don't work to keep them, they decay and your culture decays and your civilization ends. Okay? So who keeps the beliefs? Who supports the beliefs? The people who know they're bullshit. Interesting? Yes. Okay. So I'm a soldier, I join with the shaman, and together we have a responsibility. We are keepers of culture. We are the keepers of the secret. And we act as if it's real, and we support it, we talk it, we live it, we model it. We are the people who are responsible for keeping the culture strong, vibrant, successful, valuable. It's an incredibly good role and an incredible responsibility. And who's best suited to take that responsibility? Soldiers. Okay? Shaman can't do it by themselves. They know the secret, but they don't have the strength, they don't have the integrity, they don't have the power within them. They know the secret by education, not by life, not by trauma, not by the heart. Okay? So when the two of those combine, oh my God, they become the strength of a nation, the leaders of a nation, the leaders of a culture together. And now that is a powerful role and a very valuable role for a soldier to play. I'm not gone, I'm not dead, I'm not toast, I'm not finished. I am now the keeper of the secret. Does that make sense, guys? It's the one. And once a soldier, once a soldier makes that transition, then it changes from loss to power. It changes from I'm bad to I have a major, powerful, positive role in my people. I volunteered to become an animal to protect my people. In that process, I learned something that is more valuable than anything else on earth. I learned that everything is bullshit. Now, you can call that a bad thing, or you can say, with the help of the shaman, wait, it's not a bad thing, that's a great thing. Because it is the keepers of the secret that are the strength of a culture, the strength of a nation. Does that make sense, guys? So it's a very powerful, a very positive role. And once a soldier or a person with major traumatic events in their lives understand that, then they don't think of themselves as destroyed or as bad. They think of themselves as having a role in their nation that is valuable, that is important, that is in fact the key to their culture's survival. Now, they don't, because they're soldiers and because they've had these experiences of traumatic events, they don't make the mistake that shaman make, which is shaman by themselves make the mistake that I'm better than you because I know. Okay? I'm elite. I'm special. Okay? Soldier never makes that mistake. Why? because they know it's bullshit. Okay, do you understand? So that pair together has exactly what's necessary. Okay, soldiers keep the shaman real. They keep the shaman strong, they keep the shaman honest. Shaman pervert themselves into thinking they're better than other people, without soldiers to knock them on their ass the moment they start to do that. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so it's an incredible marriage. It's an incredible connection.
So is it true that in, say, the 6 days you teach us shamans through the steps to the phases the traumatized person goes, or is it already today that you can do that?
This is a 12-day training program.
Exactly.
Okay?
So,
in order to take people who want to be shaman,
so that we
and
know,
or soldiers who want to become men of wisdom or women of wisdom.
Yeah. So that we know that not today we get all the answers.
No.
So that's normal.
No, this is an introduction.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, we're talking about 20 years worth of training and experience in order to be really, really good at this. Okay. However, you have a head start because of NLP, a huge head start. When I work with people who don't know NLP, I have another 2 years worth of training to do before they're going to be worth much as shaman. Okay, why? Because our education system for our shaman, I'm sorry, sucks. That is terrible. And our shaman, our doctors, our psychologists, they don't learn the basic skills of communication. They don't learn what we tried to build out in NLP. And they learn to be elite, and they learn to make judgments, and they, instead of recognizing talents and skills, they're busy naming people's sicknesses. Okay? And they study for years, you know. For years in order to name what's wrong with you. You know, oh, what the hell? Once you give it a name and an anchor, it becomes real. Okay? So shut up, who cares what the hell it's called? Let's figure out what it's a skill for, what we can do with it, what's the value about it. Human beings are living, learning machines. You are designed and built to be successful, happy, cooperative. Your genes are success-oriented genes. And you're a creature of culture. You're a creature of groups. Human beings are not designed to be by themselves. We don't work well by ourselves. You build this building by yourself. Good luck. Okay? It's not going to happen. We work in teams. We work in groups. We are a group animal. Okay? Family, religion, sports, hobbies, you name it. Everything we do in groups. Okay? So we are a social animal. Okay, well, what is required to be a successful social animal? What is required to be a human being that is actually worth something to the world around them? Okay, if we we get into the situation with humans when we forget these things, where we do things that are insane, as a group, we do things that are insane, okay? Totally insane. We're destroying the planet fast. And one of the main culprits of that is this thing called the internal combustion engine. Okay? That's a tiny little poison machine. Okay? It abuses power, totally, and creates poison. So what do? We made billions of them and spread them all over the planet. Guys, I'm sorry, that's insane. You understand? Every time you start a car, you are poisoning the planet. And what do? We make a car, not so that it transports me, so that it transports 4,000 pounds of metal back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you end up right where you started. So that I can go to the store, go to the market, go to the this, go to the that. It doesn't, you know, understand, the amount of energy it takes and the amount of pollution it creates to move that 4,000 pounds back and forth is insane as far as the abuse of energy, the abuse of power, and so forth. We don't even think about it. I don't think about it. I like my car, okay? But what am I doing? I'm supporting the death of the planet. Well, guys, who said stupid? We are. All of us. Because what? Because we We think that everything is a given. We think that we don't affect the things around us. Do you understand what I'm saying, guys?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Now, if you, and you keep going, from how we create energy and how we create power and what we do with this and what we do with that as a species, we're insane. And we are rapidly running off the cliff. Rapidly. And it doesn't appear that we're going to be able to do anything about it. But we're just going to go ahead and destroy human life on the planet. And probably most other life at the same time. The animals are unlucky enough to be on the same planet with us. You know, because we're failing. Okay. So why are we failing? In my opinion, the relationship between the shaman and the warriors has been dead for 200 years. The moment that relationship died, guess what? Civilization began to die with it. And we're rapidly going to hell.
Why 200
So,
years? Why 200 years?
Oh, I'm just thinking about when the warrior culture stopped having the rites of passage and the rituals of through, and when the shamans started to become so intelligent that they were no longer the same as the rest of us. When they started to become elite, when there started to be, so it's a rough guesstimation. Okay, you can actually find different events in different countries where that happened at different times. So just my overly simplified generalization.
The Red Indian shaman in this case is what you're referring to. The Red Indian shaman.
All kinds of shaman in all different cultures.
Yeah, okay.
You know, the Buddhists have been trying to convince us for years to stop
Yeah,
being
but I
insane.
mean in 200 years. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to I had the opportunity to join the American Indians in the rituals of transformation after Vietnam. And I joined them. They take their soldiers from Vietnam, from Korea, from wherever they're from, and they, in the tribes, still take their soldiers through the rites of transformation before they allow them to interact with the tribes. And they still do that today, guys. And they're wonderful. They're incredible. And I spent 2.5 days dancing, chanting, sweating in sweat lodges, crying, screaming, being insane, and with about 20 other soldiers, with about 300 American Indians around us to protect us, around us to lead us with their shaman leading the way. And at the end, I was given what they call a warrior shawl, which is a coat, kind of, that's made specifically for warriors. And I thought that was a great privilege. And so I've done a few other things besides that to try and get my head out of my behind. But it's mostly out now. But, you know, you can tell not all the way. So the secret. Okay? It's a beautiful secret. And the moments in history when the relationship between the shaman and the soldiers was broken by the shaman, then from that point on, those cultures have been in decay. And you can look through most of the warrior cultures and see how much decayed they are as a culture, depending on when that relationship was broken. Warrior cultures led the way in the civilization for most of our history. So it's a shame that we've decided that we're way too smart to pay attention to the stupidity of our ancestors. Incredible. Yes?
Can you say something about the motivation of a soldier to become a man or woman of wisdom? Because I can understand when you come back from war and all your beliefs have gone, here comes a shaman who says to you, you have to become a man of wisdom to support our secret and to keep the civilization going. Why would you care to do that?
Yeah, the question is, what's the motivation for the soldier to actually go through the process or the transformation process, because it's not a lot of fun in most cases, to become men of wisdom. And, you know, do the shaman just go to the soldiers and go, hey, you need to go to work and become a man of wisdom because we need you? You know, no. It's a process of exploration by the soldiers themselves, usually with other soldiers and a guide, which we don't call a shaman anymore, we call a counselor. The soldier must come to that realization themselves through conversations, through purging, through there is a series of steps that and I can give you kind of the simple version very quickly, yeah, because we don't have 12 days. Okay. Is this interesting for other people as well?
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Ah, it's there. Here.
Thank you, darling.
You're welcome. That's your one to you.
Thank you. Okay. Different people go through these steps at different rates or different speeds. But basically the steps are all in order to be done effectively. Okay? The first step, you can call it whatever you call it. We call it, in the treatment programs, we call it orientation. Orientation. Or call it, I've got a soldier out underneath a bridge, and they don't give a damn about anything, right? And a couple of their friends who know them, who have begun the process, come and go, come on. And so they come because they're told to come by their partners, or in criminal situations, basically they're brought by their friends. Okay, so they come and they spend a certain amount of time not connected, just observing. Okay, and deciding whether this is something they have any interest in, and we call it orientation. Okay, so.
So what's driving them even to do that first time?
Yeah, not so simple.
There must be some sort of pull.
Of course there is. Good. He's saying what brings them to even take the first step. Number one, most of the time it's friends who don't give them any choice. Okay, one. Two, somewhere inside of them they know that something powerful is happening. Something is going on. And well, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? They don't know. But they have this feeling in them that there's more. So I have something. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if I'm a demon, a devil, or a saint. I don't know what it is, but the power of trauma, the power of having survived, especially as a soldier, because they did things to survive that they know are unusual, incredible. You know, like the going through the rice paddy for 11, 12, 13 hours. You know, you do that, and you cannot escape the fact that, shit, I can do anything. So there's this sense in them, no matter how far down they are, that there's something in them that they don't understand, or they don't know about. So they come for a period of time. Maybe they come for a week, a month, a meeting, whatever it is, and they listen to the other guys, or they talk to the shaman, or so forth, and they say, you know, I don't care about anything, da-da, 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 da-da. You know, nothing means anything, blah, da-da, and you hear the secret on the negative form, okay? Then, over a period of time, sometimes a month, sometimes 6 months, there comes a moment when they say, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not going to stay the way I am, okay? So, I've got to do something, okay? Now, this is called orientation. The first step is called purging. Okay? I decide to do something. I'm not sure what it is, but I decide to get into the process. Okay? And what first thing that happens is the opening. Purging. I've seen it, the storytelling, the shuttling, the desire to actually begin to go into the mess, to go into the morass, to go into the pain. Purging. Purging is, some people call it catharsis in therapeutic systems. Okay? Okay. Purging. Letting go. Cry the cries, rage the rage, feel the feelings, hate yourself, hate the world. Let go of the monster. Turn the monster loose. Okay? And it's absolutely necessary. While the monster's in you, you're going nowhere. Or you're going nowhere positive. Okay? So this purging is supported. You know, I told you yesterday that there are times when I'll get 4 other soldiers. When the guy's ready to purge and he wants to do it, I won't let, guys help me, I want to let it go. You know, and so you get 4 other guys and you get in a room where there's no furniture and you say, let it go. And then hang on. Because purging can happen in 6 months. Or it can happen in 4 hours of hellfire. You know, or anything in between. Or a small fire and then a smaller fire, you know. It depends upon the soldier and how they're going to do it and how skillful you are as a leader of that process of purging. Okay? You can't build magic on garbage. You can't build a man of wisdom on hate. You can't build a man of wisdom on agony. It's got to be purged. It's got to be let go. You understand? Okay. So that's called purging. Okay? Then, after purging, it gets very, very interesting because when you finish purging, you're dead. You're gone. There is no you. Everything you knew, everything you felt, everything you understood, everything you hung on to, everything you believed, you now have a profound understanding that you're dead. You're gone. There is no you. Right? So what do? The next step is called, in soldiers we call it, who the hell am I? But in other cases we say, who am I? Who am I? What do I want? What do I think? What do I want to believe? Is there anything left from the kid that I grew up as? Is there any of that alive? Is there any of that that still exists? They don't know. So who am I becomes a very interesting process. Listen to this. I don't know who I am. Everything that I had and everything that I grew up with is gone. Okay, well, wait a minute. Who do I want to be? Oh, you understand what that means? You know, I was built by idiots. We called them parents. You know, and they didn't do a very good job. And so what did the war do for me? Cleaned me out. And forced me into a situation where, guess who's got to build me now? Me, and my soldier brothers, and the shaman, and mostly me. I get to build the me that I always could have been or wanted to be. Piece by piece, with the guidance of my brothers and the guidance of shaman who know what the hell they're doing. Guys, do you understand what an incredible opportunity that is? Yeah. I showed this process to people who were not soldiers and not drug addicts and not abused kids, to winners, kids in high school that were the best of the best. They came and observed this process in drug addicts. And when they came afterwards, they go, excuse me, Mr. Puslik, do I have to do drugs to go through this program? Do you understand? Because they're going, well, wow, I want to build me. You know? Wow, look what they do. Oh my God. I don't do drugs, but I have the same feelings. I have the same frightens. I have the same scares. I have the same, my God. And we actually created a program at one of the treatment centers in America where we had guest passes for good kids so that they could come on Saturdays and Sundays and go through treatment with the drug addicts. Interesting? I'd come into the program. I had 25 residents in treatment in Oklahoma. On Saturdays and Sundays, I had 75, 85 kids in the building. All of the goody-goody kids from all the different schools. All the A students, all the best kids, because they wanted to come and learn the same things. And so, now you understand a little cleverness here, because when young drug addicts go back to school, and they're now friends with all the goody-goody kids in the school, what's their peer group? And when a drug addict bum walks up to scare one of the goody-goody kids out of their money, and walking beside the goody-goody kid is Frederica, who's fought for drug money on the street corner for 4 years and never lost a fight. And has the scars to prove it. And the guy she knows from that school is hassling her friend. Oh, Lord have mercy on that poor drug addict dude. Because Frederica is very protective. You know? Oh my God. So we were connecting up the drug addicts and the goody-goody kids from all the schools. So when the drug addicts went back to school after they'd gone through treatment, who's their friends? Said that sometimes I do things smart. Okay. So great fun to come into a therapy group, and the drug addicts don't get a chance to talk because all the goody-goody kids are talking in the group. Say, guys, shut up. This is for them. Yeah, I know, but. So who am I? To your toes. What am I? What do I believe? What do I think? What do I want? Who am I? Who am I with guidance from people with wisdom? People with wisdom don't tell you who you are. They help you in your journey to figure it out. You don't tell people what wisdom is. They discover it. They build it. They dig it out. They find it. They find it from their times of going for 13 hours. They find it from the times where I spent all night long sitting on a stick that was going up into my behind, and I didn't move a muscle because I wanted to live, because I wanted to protect the guys who I was supposed to be protecting. You know, 15 guys are depending on me not moving. You know? So when you do those things, and you try to understand what that meant, and what that meant about me, and what that meant about what I am, who I want to be, do you understand? You start to come up with some ideas, you know, like, damn, maybe I'm all right. Wow. And you build from there. You know? So then you go to the fourth step, which is called me and, these are really academic terms, you can tell. Me and the world. Okay, I got a pretty good idea who I am. Does it work in the world? Does it work with my family? Does it work with my wife, husband? Does it work with my job? Does it work with my religion? Does it work with my... I now built a me that I'm happy with. Does it work? Does it work in all the situations, all the human situations that I'm going to be in? Yes or no? With a male-female relationship, with a parent-adult, with a parent-child relationship, with a work relationship, with a religion relationship, although we don't practice religion in these programs, which is a very interesting process, okay, for some people. So we spend months going through all the possible ways in which I will be interacting with the world in all of the different relationships. Okay? Now, the last step is called, which you might be surprised, integration. Now I start interacting with the real world little by little. Now I go out and I find out, can I, you know, because people are going to come up to me and say, here's some Coke, you want? Because they know me, and they know I'm a Coke addict, or a fighter, or a drunk, or a guy who goes to prison or somebody who's explosive, because they know me. And so they come up and they invite me to be who I was. Okay, so what do I do about that? What do I feel about that? What do I think about that? Let's go to the store and steal some booze and go under the bridge. We did that for months. Come on, let's go. And here I am. I'm now a different. What happens to me when I get these influences, when I get these people, right, who come to me and expect me to be a loser, or an idiot, or a fighter, or a drug addict, or a thief, or a liar, or a walking dead person, and so I'm going to get a hell of a lot of feedback from the world that's going to push me to be what I was. Okay, so plan for it. What do I do for it? And then what happens in the integration phase is I go to the places where I'm going to have those influences on purpose. Okay? And then I come back to my group or whatever, and they go, yeah, I just spent 2 days under the bridge with these guys, you know, and honestly, there was a desire in me to not come back here. But I'm here, and I'm ready, and I learned this, and I learned that, and I learned this. So, little by little, it's shuttling in its purest form. Boom, 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 boom. But into the world, back. Into the worst world I could possibly be in. Back. What did I learn? What did I change? What did I feel? What did I think? The gang guys, when they get out of prison, they're going to be right back in their neighborhoods. What's going to happen when the boys come up and go, here, you got religion? You know, you went through that stupid program, didn't you? Yeah. Well, now you're home, brother. Let's go rob a store. What do you do? What do you think? What do you feel? You know? A guy who hadn't seen me for a lot of years. He came up to me like, hey, Frank, how you doing? And holds out a mirror with white powder on it, right? And I looked at him and I just started laughing. And he goes, what are you laughing about? And I said, I'm laughing about how close you are to death. You know? And he goes, what? He goes, what's the matter? Here. You know, and I go, okay, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to laugh right now, and I'm going to give you a chance to walk away. You stay, I'm going to stop laughing. And he goes, oh, you're strange. And I said, yeah, and I'm going to stick that mirror up your... Okay, unless you get away from me, brother. Don't you come near me again. You know, and he got the message and he stayed away. You know, but the wonderful thing for me was the strength of reaction that I had. I had a half a second of whoo. Half a second. And then I exploded. And I am so proud of that explosion. And that explosion will happen to me today. Somebody walks up to me with a mirror and white powder, they're in trouble. I'll laugh first. You know what I laugh about? Because, and here's a good idea for you. What I laugh about is how stupid that person is to offer me, with a smile on their face, to become a thief again, a liar again, a drug addict again, to lose my family again, to lose my goals again, to lose myself again. And this moron has a smile on his face, as if it's a good thing. And what they're offering me is the loss of everything that's valuable to me. And they're so stupid they have a smile on their face to do that. And I think it's funny. You know, I just look at them and just start laughing, you know, at first. You understand? Integration. Get back out there, piece by piece, experience the world, especially the worst part of it, and come home and deal with it. And then, of course, after that, man of wisdom. Okay? Make sense? Okay? Steps? Yes? Somebody? Question?
But are they internal until the step of integration?
Are they what?
Internal, only inside the community, or?
You can do it while they're inside the community, or you can do that when they are coming every other day, or a daycare, we call it. See, most veterans are involved in what's called daycare. They don't live in the program. They live wherever they live, and sometimes not in the best situations. But they're coming into the program every other day, twice a week, sometimes once a week, depending on how far they have to travel, or how capable they are of surviving in the environment that they're in. Are they keeping a job? Are they still living with their family? Is their family involved in the program? So what are the conditions, and how much interaction is necessary to keep them moving forward? With some people, they're doing fairly well. They can come in once a week and take a period of 2 years to transform, in case you're curious about timelines. Okay? It takes typically on day transformation for soldiers about 2 years, plus minus. Okay? Depending on the skill of the shaman. Yeah. Yes?
once the soldier has gone through through this transformation, does it ever want to become, or even if it sort of has to, can I become a soldier again?
Yes. And after this, they can become a better soldier than they ever were. They have the switch.
Yeah.
Can I become a soldier if necessary right now? Absolutely. Do I know how to turn the switch? You bet. Okay? At one time in my life, I was trying to lose that, because that's bad. Yeah? And luckily, I was with enough good shaman when finally that I learned, and one of the keys for me to learn the soft side was to realize that I didn't have to get rid of the hard side to do it, because I didn't want to get rid of the hard side. There was a knowledge in me that that's a good, that that's powerful, that that's strong. And if I lose it, then I become vulnerable in the worst situations. Okay? And I wasn't willing to do that. And I didn't know why. But, you know, I just went, you want me to forget that and do that? No. No. It's not going to happen. You know? Once they said, yeah, that's okay, you got it. And add this. Okay? Yes. Yes, it takes, depending on the soldier, it takes anywhere from 10 seconds to a couple of weeks to get back into being an animal. But most of them, if they haven't thrown out that process, which they don't if they're with a good shaman, can get back into being a soldier fairly rapidly. If it's necessary. They don't do it for fun. It's not, because it's not fun. And it's a whole different way of experiencing the world. But if you know, if somebody, you know, I mean, this sounds silly, but if somebody ever kills my son, I'll be a soldier in a minute, and I'll find him. And they're not going to be happy when I do. And I'll kill him slow. So can I do that? Yes. Do I do that once a week? No. But I've only got one. No, I got two sons. So yes, I can. But obviously, I'm not going to.
In the modern warfare, someone has a career
in the military,
in fighting battles over and over again.
Yeah.
They have almost a day job. They go back to their wives, and they go back to the children, and they go back to the front. How does the
special ops boys? God damn, the SEALs, the beret, green beret, the people who have these jobs. We were talking about that a little bit. They are trained for a long time before they become that level of professional soldier, and they have the switch both ways before they go to combat, and they're trained that way, and they can, not completely, but here's a guy, he's in some god-awful country someplace, and he's crawling through the mud in order to capture a particular guy or cut somebody's head off, and he's there for a week, 2 weeks, right? And then he catches his boat, and he catches his plane, and he gets his helicopter, and he's taken out of the ocean somewhere. And he gets on a plane, and a day later, he's walking into his house where his wife and kids are. Hi, honey, I'm home. Yeah. You know, yeah? And the wives know, you know, they know this guy's absolutely nuts. And they don't ask questions, you know, because they know they're not going to get answers. The guy can't tell them, well, I just was in Zimbabwe and cut off 3 heads. It was kind of fun. You know, so they don't, you know. And, but those guys are trained psychologically for years. You know, there's a general principle, and Captain can tell you, I'm sure. There's a general principle that it takes 4 years to create a special ops soldier. 4 years. And a professional like that. And about half of it is physical training. They're physically training all the time, but skills training, and the other half is right there. And if you can't make that switch, you're not going to be one of the boys. Now they fail from time to time. And they have their tragedies, and they have their bar fights that get out of hand, and they have their times when, for whatever reason, they end up accidentally killing their kids or whatever. It happens, but it's very, very rare. That's Crazy Maker. Those guys are mentally very, very capable. I know a few of those boys. And they're jolly boys. They're great, fun, playful boys. They live life to the max. Both there and there. And they're, you know, and they're loud, obnoxious sons of bitches most of the time. Right, Captain? You know, they are crazy son of a guns. But I would go any place, anywhere with them, anytime. Yeah. I'm from San Diego, in the States, and in San Diego is one of the main SEAL training areas in America, SEALs. And they are big, strong boys. And I'm lucky enough to know 2 or 3 of them. And it's like, it's funny because if you meet them on the street, you think of them as just boisterous, big, athletic guys, you know? They're like, you know, they're like the guys who go to the bars and the guys who play football on the weekends and all that. And you go, you have no idea who the hell that is. But give that boy a job and get out of the way. Yep. So, any other questions? Simple? Do you understand the steps?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think it's also possible to, for the integration part, to use microsimulation?
Depending on how well it's designed and how well it's done, yes. And some of the special ops boys have that to a science, to an art. Yeah. Yeah, sure. You understand what he asked?
No.
Explain your question.
We use, for some of the treatment we deal with PTSS and PTSD people, is that we actually use Playmobil, little dolls, because they can bow for each other. And that's a thing you have to learn again once you get back from overseas. And by using all the different things or different different stuff you might come across in the integration part during that period, if you use microsimulation, it's easier because you can do it in a safe environment within the colleagues, and you don't need to go out and lie under the bridge or get, you know, drugs in your face or whatever. So you can do the simulation about 100 times, make all the mistakes you want to make, and then it's easier to create the mental loop to be able to walk the path you need to go to stay off. So. Good,
yeah. It's a physical metaphor. You know, you use pieces and you go through all the possible scenarios of what could happen, not happen, and so forth. Sure. The guy who's leading that process needs to be good, because it can be just a bad joke. If the practitioner, if the shaman who's leading, hey, guys, almost every technique, almost everything you do, it's a technique. The technique doesn't do anything. The technique is a plan of steps. Those steps aren't magic. The steps don't do anything. It's how well the practitioner uses that process with feedback from the person to know that they are actually successfully going through the steps here. You know, with calibrations, with feedback, or whatever. It is the shaman that makes all of these techniques work. Okay, and that's one of the things that bothers me about NLP people sometimes. They think the techniques are magic, or the techniques do the job. All I have to do is get somebody to do this, look at this, feel this, touch this, say this, and they're going to have a successful intervention. Well, bullshit. It's got nothing to do with it. The techniques are simply paths that people have discovered that work fairly well to start from here and to go there, if the shaman is capable of moving the person through those steps. These steps seem to help, but the steps are nothing. You know, guys, you know what timeline therapy is? You know, and I see people do timeline therapy and actually think that the damn line on the floor does something. You know, it's like, take another step and experience whatever you experience. There's a floor. Well, yeah, but didn't you notice the sensation you had when you took that step? Yeah, actually I did. I moved this muscles here in this leg. I put this leg forward, you know. But now do you know how old you are now? I'm still 72, you idiot. You know? No, but when you were, come on. I watched some of the top NLP people do demonstrations in timeline therapy, and I knew damn good and well that they chose, guys, when you're a trainer and you choose somebody to demonstrate with, you have to choose a cause and effect kino. Otherwise, your demonstration is going to die. Because the person is in front of all those people, right? And they're nervous, and they're not going to be their normal self anyway, and you're trying to lead this digital through a kino process in front of 40 people. You know, and they're not going to have a feeling if you cut their arm off. You know? Well, how do you feel about, I'm okay. Well, they'll come back to you. If you step forward and you'll notice that you're, what am I going to notice? Well, you're going to have a sensation of moving through time and experiencing. What time is it? Yeah, I did move through time. It was about 4 or 5 seconds, actually. You know, anything else you want? You know, the therapist is going. So I watch these wonderful, fantastic super NLP people do these demonstrations, and guys, I am laughing so hard that I have to stop the video and back it up because I miss so much, right? Because I'm dying laughing. And I see this one professional person, everybody, all you know who it is, right? And she's, excuse me, he is doing timeline therapy, okay? and she picks this guy, he is the worst possible demonstration client you can imagine, right? And he's like, yes, okay, what? Huh? You know, and he hasn't had a feeling in years, any kind. You know? And never mind. Anyway, so she goes. The group is out there, and she's like, the guy's here, and she's here demonstrating, right? And she has her arm on the guy's shoulder, and she says, "Now you experience yourself, and you're going to notice this sensation when you like that." And the guy goes. And she goes, you're going to notice the sensation when you, like the guy, oh, yeah, I got it, yeah, I can feel that. You know? And she goes, and now, when you're ready to move to the next thing, and the guy's like, she said, when you're ready to move, now, to the next step, now, you know, the guy's, like that. So she goes, now when you're ready to move to the next step. And she grabbed the guy's back and pushed him forward. He goes, oh, yeah, okay, I'm ready. She beat this poor man for 30 minutes. I'm surprised he could use his right arm at all. Because she looked, now notice when you, and the look in his face, and when you now move, now, you know what? Ah, hell with it. Boom, hit him, move him. You know, oh my God, I was dying laughing. And I just went, oh, I love it. Now, what does she do? She used anchoring. She used embedded suggestions, right? And she used 2 or 3 basic skills that had nothing to do with timeline. Nothing. So, but she didn't tell anybody. She didn't go, she said, timeline did this. Right? And so she goes, now you guys go ahead and you do it. Right? So everybody gets up and they're like, excuse me. They don't seem to be moving. You know, and she said, hit them. No, and she said, well, you'll figure it out and you'll learn. And if you just practice more. You know, I said, practice more, hell, hit the son of a bitch. He'll move. You know. Excuse my language, sorry. I'm going, oh, I love it. So I watch NLP people sometimes, or psychologists, or anybody who actually is supposed to know how to do something, you know, and just roar. I mean, we used to, when we built NLP, for fun, we would take all the different styles of therapy and carry them out to their extreme, right? And try not to kill each other. Because if you've ever been a Gestalt person in the room with other people, in 15 minutes, every person in the room wants to beat you bloody. You know? Hi, it's very nice to see you. You're an ugly son of a bitch. It's nice to see you. Well, it's okay. I'm just being honest between you and me, you know. And they go around and say the worst possible things you can imagine because I'm being authentic. You know, I'm authentic. You know, and and I say, come here, I'm going to be authentic. Okay, oh, how's that? Yeah, okay, so, moving right along. When we talk about the Holland houses,
Yes,
there's going to be these steps built in.
absolutely.
Okay, when we talk about the veterans' houses that are going to become common here in Holland, you know we have a whole lot of veterans that are being lost in the system here in Holland. Several thousand of your young people have been tossed with very little services and very little help. And Angelica and I and Odd and a few other folks are doing everything we can to build a system here in Holland to catch those guys and help them transform. Holland needs them, you know what I mean. And they need Holland badly. So we're going to be doing some things in the near future to try and make that happen to the best we can. I'm doing the same thing in Ukraine. I helped do the same thing in America when we built the vet centers in the 80s. We built the vet centers in the 80s, and between 80 and about 95, they changed the life of a whole lot of veterans in a very positive way, me included, thank God. So we have the same need now in Holland. And think about the immigrants. The immigrants are oftentimes from traumatic experiences. And not only are they from traumatic experiences, but they have an entire life of a different culture. And no concept whatsoever how to fit into the culture in Holland. And so what do? Dump them. And we help them. We give them money. Well, that helps. We sometimes we give them the opportunity to learn a skill, a job skill. Really helps. And then we give them housing in amongst other people from Holland who they think are aliens. And both ways, you know. We do nothing to teach them what to see, what to think, what to say, how to this. You know, I often get the idea, I'd love to be in a Syrian's mind. And then walk down the street with them in Holland and find out what they see. I know what I see, but I have no idea what they see. They see a house. Do they see something beautiful, or do they see decadence? Or do they see insanity? When they see a woman with no headscarf, do they see a woman with no headscarf? Or do they see a blasphemous pig? You understand? Okay, because if they're seeing a pig, that they have the right to do with anything they want, because that pig is nothing. It's not a human. And if that's what they see, and that's what they think, then sometimes they're going to take that action. You know, and how the hell we have the courage to take these poor people who've gone through hell and dump them into a culture without any concept of what they actually see, think, feel, understand. And then what happens? They do something that fits their culture, and we call them criminals. Or we say, we're going to deport you, or you're crazy, or you're this or that. We're doing the same damn thing to them that we do to soldiers. And who's responsible for that? The shaman. The shaman are supposed to be the keepers of culture. And instead, what are they? They're the name givers of sickness. Incredible. It's hard to understand how badly the professional world of shaman has failed us, or failed soldiers, or failed their culture, or failed what's going on. Name givers of sickness. As if that's a role in the culture. Terrible. Yes, they get trained that way. It's not their fault, and I shouldn't call them bad names. But they're failing us. Yes?
Is it also in different countries? I've come to an opinion that the psychologists of today are more pill pushers than mind workers.
Yeah, we tried to turn that around in the 70s. And we did fairly well with that until about the 90s, and then they started going back to pills. Yeah, as if, well, you know, it's probably a little better than the knife, because we used to do that. You know, we don't like the way you act, just cut off the front part and see if that changes anything. It changed stuff, it worked. Or, okay. Or my favorite, no, it's barbaric to be cutting off people's parts of their brain. Let's just electrocute them. That worked. It worked. You know, you electrocute them and then find out if they're the same as they were before. They're not. God almighty. That was psychotherapy. Electrocution, shock, and but then we got sophisticated. We learned about psychoactive medication. Yeah. So we don't shock them or cut them anymore. We drug them. We're much better. Okay. Oh, incredible. So then we got to talk therapy, and we got pretty good at it for a while. And then we decided that we're going to go back to drugs. Hey, come on, drugs is easier. You don't have to work. You don't have to know anything. You just go, wait, okay, you're on one of these. Here's your pills. Oh, then give me $500.
Yeah.
You know, scary. Scary. You know, when you really think about what the role is of our shaman, and what they could be doing, should be doing, and what they are doing. So, and then it'll give you more of an idea about why us crazy guys in Santa Cruz decided to try and do something about that. Because NLP is the antithesis of that craziness. Okay, so where are we?
Right, can I ask you something? If you talk about this, about humanity, society,
yeah,
going down the drain.
If I can have a really simple, stupid answer, I'll be glad to help.
How do you position yourself, like the musicians on the Titanic? It's going down anyway, but...
Basically, you know, maybe I can keep it from going down a little longer, and maybe there will be an revolution of the right kind. Not the military kind, but maybe the kind of thinking. There's a, if I can do this, maybe then you're really going to know I'm nuts. They already know. Okay, yeah. At the end of World War II, the governments of the winning side were scared to death, because for the first time in human history, one guy could push one button in life on the planet. And that scared the hell out of the British and you guys here, and a lot of the main governments that were involved in World War II, because it was the first time in human history. One button, game over. What scared the governments the most is that humans have a history. If they have a weapon, they use a weapon. They've never built a weapon they don't use. You understand? You understand what that means? That in the very near future, life on the planet will cease because somebody's going to get the button and push it. You know, and then we actually went through some times when it was very close to that, with Russia and Cuba and the Cuban crisis and all that. So the governments decided to try and bring the brightest people in their cultures together and say, guys, what the hell happened? Because we have now evolved to the point of our own destruction. That's not where we were supposed to go. What happened, and what can we do about it? And they brought their best and brightest, and their best and brightest came together and talked about that problem, including Korzybski, Bateson, and a whole lot of very special people were involved in that process. And they came up with two answers, okay, to change the direction of human evolution. Okay, two answers. And their two answers were very straightforward and very simple. First, information technology. They believe that one of the difficulties that created so many bad decisions in the human race is because that the information that existed was not available to people. Because they believe that if the information is available, humans are smart enough to use good information to make good decisions. Okay? So what do you think came directly after that? Information technology, internet, computers, the whole thing. That was an outgrowth of those conversations, because that created the information technology necessary to give everybody in the world who had access to that network high quality information at the touch of a button. Okay, well, that's answer number one. Answer number two was a slightly different, more involved situation, and they gave it a name. They called it cybernetics. Interesting? See, because cybernetics is a different way of thinking about life, a different way of thinking about culture, a different way of thinking about civilization. Cybernetics says that everything you do affects everything else. Okay? That's a radical change, was a radical change in human thoughts. You can't make an automobile engine if you're a cybernetic thinker, because you know that will kill the planet, and so you don't do it, because that's stupid. You understand? If you're a cybernetic thinker. So they said that there are two answers, two things that need to happen, and they need to happen fast. IT, information technology, and to change the paradigm of human thought to match cybernetics, cybernetic process, cybernetic logic.
From egotism to...
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. From I'm the center of the world to I am a piece of a complex, beautiful world, and everything I do must balance with everything else that's going on. Okay? But biology understands that. Every human cell understands that it has balance with all the others, and that anything happens in one, it affects the others. Your body knows that, the universe knows that, cosmos knows that, every disease knows that, everything at every level of life follows what's called homeostasis, except people. Okay? Okay, so cybernetics. And Gregory, I think you know that Gregory Bateson lived about 20 feet from where a large part of the research on NLP was done, and would come and visit us, you know, like probably every other time. And have Gregory Bateson, you guys know who Gregory Bateson is, yeah? To have him walking around, observing, asking questions, you know. He was wonderful. He's British. And he would walk around for a while, and we'd be doing something, and he'd ask a couple of questions, and then he'd say, show the epistemology. And we knew that we were in the wrong direction, we tossed it, and we went someplace else. Show the epistemology. You know? So, but if he said, whoa, I like that. Gregory came to 4 of us at one point with a tear in his eye. Gregory doesn't have tears in his eyes, with a tear in his eye, and he said, you've done it. We didn't have the tools necessary to finish the second paradigm, cybernetics. We didn't have the ability to figure out how to get the human race to change from egotistic thinking to cybernetic thinking. You have it. You have what we didn't. Now it can happen. Meta model, rep systems, complex equivalences, systematic use of negation were what he considered to be the tools necessary to change human thought. And he said, we didn't have it, you have it. So he's standing there, he said, in my lifetime I failed. And he looked at me and 3 other people and said, now it's on you, because you know how. And so I was very proud. I've known that for all these years, and I almost never tell anybody that. But when somebody like him comes to me and says, it is now your mission to change the paradigm of human thought in order for the human race to have an opportunity to survive. Because without it, we won't. Yeah? Cool, yeah? And I've known that for 45 years. And it's still going down. However, remember what I told you yesterday? There are NLP people trained and positioned in every country in the world, at every level of society, with every level of connection. There's only one thing missing.
Organization.
Organization. And I hope that you become part of that organization, everybody here. You know, we have a chance. We have a chance to save human life on this planet. I mean, there's power sources everywhere. It's all simply a matter of decisions, you know, on how we create power, and how we abuse power or don't abuse power, and how we poison the earth or don't poison the earth, and how our religions are being used to murder each other. You know, and doesn't anybody get it? If the religions are are designed to kill people, then maybe they're not working well.
Well, they're working well for somebody.
So they're working well for somebody, yeah. Yeah, for the guys who decide that it's okay to go kill somebody because they don't have a towel on their head, you know. So anyway, you can take that for what that has been the driving force for me all my life, and will be until the day I'm no longer here. Because Gregory, he told us a cybernetic principle that I really like. And this is another secret, right? Okay. I don't know. Okay. So he said, in any system, this is a cybernetic rule, in any system, the strongest element in the system over time controls the entire system.
Please, can you repeat?
You understand? He said that in a system, any system, and everything is made up of systems, everything, all life.
I thought it was the most flexible part.
No, the most flexible part has a tendency to affect the system, but not control it. It creates change, but it doesn't figure out where the change is going. Okay? That's what happens with kids and families, where they can change a family, but they can't choose where that change is going to go. So they just keep changing it until they get something better. It's slightly different, but similar. In any system, the strongest element in the system over time ultimately controls the system. Now, when you understand what that means, I like it. Because no matter what system I walk into, I make a decision. I am the strongest element in this system, period. And what does that do? That gives me a great deal of satisfaction. Because that means that over time, I'm going to win. Over time, I'm going to control. And I'm sitting with a veteran, and he thinks he's a mess, right? And I know he's a genius, okay? I know he's a genius more powerfully than he knows he's a mess. And that will never change. So he has no choice. You understand? Okay? He just keeps interacting with me. He's going to become a man of wisdom, whether he likes it or not. I don't care, because I'm not changing. I am the most powerful element in the system, period. Whether it's a system between me and one person, or it's a system between me and a company, or a system between one of the biggest banks in a country where I have worked often was purchased by another huge bank, international bank, and they were trying to merger the two. Okay? And they were using incredibly ineffective strategy of trying to do two different merger styles at the same time. And what they were doing was destroying the bank, and destroying both banks, by the way, the mother bank and the new bank, right? And they were killing it. And they were lucky enough to hire me, and they came in and they had an expert there who was from the mother bank, who had incredible power, incredible influence, and people were scared to death of him. And he's trying to the best of his ability to produce a change in a culture he has no knowledge of whatsoever. And so he is screwing up everything, right? And he is going to be the major influence that destroys both banks. And the mother bank thinks he's there to save both banks. So they give him the biggest gun, the highest authority. So I figured that out quickly, and everybody's terrified of him. And I walk into his office the first time I met him because I know that if I can't control that guy, this whole system is going to bankrupt, right? So I look at the guy and I go, "Hey, young man, how you doing?" And he's like, he's old, right? So, but I know, I'm pretty sure he's not older than I am, right? So I go, "Hey, young man, how you doing?" He looks up at me like I'm from Mars, and he goes, "What do you mean, young man?" And I said, "How old are you?" And he said, "I'm 67. I said, 69. So, young man, what's up? And he's astonished, right? And I go, "So I understand you're here screwing up the whole thing. Yeah?" And he's like, "Who the hell are you?" And I said, "I'm the consultant. I've been hired to save you from screwing it up." And he's like, "Get the hell out of my office." And I said, "Okay, if you want to fuck it up, that's okay with me. I'll see. But I can help you if you want." And he goes, sit down and start talking. And so I go, okay, well, you're pretty young, so maybe I can help you, but I don't know. Okay. And so I'm talking to him like he's 11, right? Nobody talks to this guy like he's 11. Nobody, right? So he ends up calling me Mr. Ukraine, right? And I call him the kid, right? So every time I see him, I say, hey, how you doing, kid? And in front of people doesn't matter, right? And he's like, only in the office, only in the office. So we become buddies, and I go, okay, look, you're trying to figure out how to help the CEO figure out how to successfully go through this merger, right? And he goes, yeah, that guy's an idiot. And I said, well, he's a fairly smart idiot, but let's figure out what you can do. Okay, first thing you can do is stop making him mad and stop making him afraid, because that's not going to help you. He's like, I'm making him mad and afraid? Everybody in this bank is afraid of you, except for, and he goes, yeah, I know. Okay. And I said, so, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? Okay. He didn't blink. He said, well, let's talk.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, I don't care who the hell he is. I don't care what his reputation is. I don't care how old he is. I don't care what. I'm going to comfortably and easily solve this situation, and he's going to help me do it. Whether he wants to or not, I don't care, in a sense. Now, of course, I have to pace and lead. Of course, I have to watch his calibrations, and of course, I have to use all the skills that I have to make sure that I don't just lose him or push him off the deep end. And through conversation, through me asking him questions, he decided how he could best influence the CEO of the bank, right? To do the right thing. Now, by the way of asking questions, he learned from the questions what it was that he was doing that was really not working, right? Now, in the meantime, I'm talking to all the other board members, and I'm talking to them about what a good guy this guy is. And they're like, what? He's a jerk. I go, well, he only acts like a jerk. Actually, he's a nice guy, but you're smart enough to figure that out. So they start treating him different, right? He starts treating them different. He decides to actually listen. You know, last year they were the most profitable bank in the country, you know, and the merger ended up going extremely well. Why? Because I'm clever? Partly. Why? I am the strongest element in that system, and I am going to succeed in helping that bank survive. And good people, good desire, good influence, good everything. Okay, now, obviously you have to have skills to go along with that. But if I go in there afraid, if I go in there thinking he's a jerk, if I go in there figuring it's impossible, if I go in there figuring, wow, they sent the killer here, and what am I going to do with the killer? You understand? Nah, he's the kid. And as long as he's the kid, and I'm congruent about that, it's easy. Does that make any sense at all, what I'm saying? What's your attitude? What's your assumption? What are you doing? Okay, now, I have a few years' experience to help make that happen, but it doesn't matter. So, let's go back to PTSD.
Is it break time, sir?
Break time. Oh, you guys, you wimps, you want to break. Yeah. Okay, let's start again at quarter till. Okay, so plenty of time. Okay, now we're going to move on with skills for PTSD and sermon.